It's Monday, June 22nd, 2020. Digital Trends Live is about to start. Here are some of the topics we're covering on today's episode of the show. Apple's annual Worldwide Developers Conference will kick off today with a keynote speech followed by a week of events, all taking place online. We've got a quick preview of what to expect. And we've got a series of great guests on the show, including Shark Tank alum Ronaldo Webb, the founder of a company called PetPlate that provides better quality food to your pets. Plus, we'll have our own Davin Matthews joining us today. Talk about his review of the Fujifilm X-T200 mirrorless camera for beginners. He'll showcase some of the features and give his opinions on it. And we'll have the founder and CEO of Rise Gardens, Hank Adams, on to talk about the growth in the homegrown food market. Now, even during a pandemic, people can still eat healthier and safer. All of that and more on today's episode of Digital Trends Live. And hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you very much for being here with us today, wherever you are. We appreciate it. We broadcast live here every weekday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, bringing you trending tech headlines, news, interviews, discussions, and more. We're broadcasting live on a number of different platforms, so whatever one you are on, thank you for being here. Hit subscribe, share the show, engage in conversations. Let us know what you think about the topics we bring up today. But let's get you started right now with some trending news and recap some of the things that have happened over the weekend in case you may have missed it. To start off, let's talk about the effect of K-pop fans and TikTok on a presidential rally. So this is what we're talking about right now. And probably a lot of people have heard about this, but we want to make sure that you have some of the details. So President Trump had a rally on Saturday in Tulsa, very well publicized, where there was anticipated by the Trump organization to have over 1 million tickets being requested for this event. Now, the stadium would seat 26,000, but it did not end up happening. So here's what went on with this. The stadium had a capacity of 19,000 to clarify that, but about 6,200 people actually showed up with scanned tickets. And part of the result of this miscommunication and misunderstanding about what happened is because of a campaign by K-pop fans across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok to skew those numbers a bit and request tickets online. This was an organized thing where a bunch of different TikTok users who apparently coordinate quite frequently together decided to do this. And they flooded the social media hashtags like MAGA and Blue Lives Matter. They also flooded the ticket requests for this particular event and requested over millions of tickets. And this is what happened with this. So when it came time for the event, naturally, those people weren't there. These were all just requested online. It showcases the power of that TikTok users and especially K-pop fans. If you've never followed up on K-pop fans, there's quite a lot of them out there. And the organization that they had here to do this showcases some of the different things that social media campaigns can accomplish. And we'll just say that's what the story is here. You can read more about it at Digital Trends, but it's certainly a big topic over the weekend, and we'll have to see where this goes as we continue on towards the presidential election. Just the power of social media for whatever way you want to look at it. This is pretty huge. So a lot of details on that at the website, but you can definitely read more about that there. Continuing on here with trending news, again, just to keep you up to date on some of the things that have happened. This is coming from Fortnite. Fortnite, with their over 350 million players as of May, now banning police cars in the game. So police cars have been removed. This was first noticed by somebody on Reddit, but Epic has pulled police cars out of the game. And there's a lot of other vehicles that have remained. Now, of course, Fortnite did just have their update. It's going to be rolling out continuously here as they get ready for the next season. And with the next season, it sounds like cars are going to be able to be drivable in the new season of it. And so they wanted to remove police vehicles from that because of, well, if you think about it, some of the imagery that could happen with that as people use police cars in a battle. So that is something that they have done. It is in large part a direct result of everything that's going on right now in the world and with social unrest and a lot of the protests that are happening since George Floyd. So this is part of what's going on with that. And again, that's Epic Games removing police cars from Fortnite. One more response there from the video game industry. We've seen a lot of different responses from across the spectrum of the gaming industry, but this is Fortnite's latest one. Continuing on here with our trending news, again, just to keep you up to date on what is happening in the news, Apple has now said they are going to start reclosing some of the stores they had originally opened back up during this pandemic. So Due to COVID-19 conditions, they're saying that they're going to be closing stores in Arizona, Florida, North Carolina, and South Carolina. Not all of the stores in those states, but some of the stores are going to be closing. And this is confirming some earlier rumors that they had. They had these stores open with a number of safeguards, social distancing, with masks being required, and even temperature checks that were happening with this. But still, they're saying it's not safe to keep these stores open in those locations, as we see some COVID-19 cases really rising in a lot of places. And there's a number of other states that are having the same thing. So we'll have to see if Apple follows suit in that and closes more stores. But I would expect that we're going to see this probably happen, and it's certainly Apple's one of the leaders when it comes to that. So we'll see what other retail locations if they follow suit with this. But again, you can read more about that at digitaltrends.com. All right, let's continue on here with some news today. It's WWDC, the Worldwide Developers Conference. This is Apple's annual event, which is going to be taking place today. It starts off at 10 a.m. Pacific time, right after this broadcast. We've got a link at digitaltrends.com, so you can stay right on the website and follow along. But we've got a lot of details there about what we expect from this event. Now, so this is, of course, all happening online, much like everything else that's been canceled in person. This is a big event for Apple, where they highlight a lot of the OS changes and updates that they have, and also some hardware that we get to see with this. And then it follows along with a week of different conferences that happen, talking to developers around the world. But today, like I said, 10 a.m. Pacific is when it's going to start. Some different things that we expect. Again, updates to the OS. We'll have to see. We're also going to probably find out a lot about the rumored switch to ARM processors, which is the idea that Apple is eventually going to phase out Intel processors in their computers, which is a big move on that end. And we do think that's going to be happening. There's also some rumors out there right now from Ming-Chi Kuo, who's usually fairly accurate with some of his rumors. He's posted a lot of things before that have come through. He said that the first ARM-based Macs will be a 13-inch MacBook Pro and a redesigned iMac that could launch as early as late 2020 or early 2021. We'd expect that we'll find out pretty quickly once this starts about that. They'll have some different announcements. There's also some rumors about some third generation of AirPods with a form factor design similar to AirPods Pro. Those wouldn't be coming out until 2021. Hard to say if we would hear something about that today, but definitely we will know shortly what Apple has in the cards. And just the idea that this is all online as well, I think part of the interesting part of this is the presentation and how they go about it, because this is, again, it's Apple. So whatever they do, a lot of other companies probably will follow suit, as we see all of these different online conventions and presentations happening. Definitely going to be interesting with that. So a lot to follow along with. We've got a huge write-up at Digital Trends. Luke Larson walks through everything that we expect and goes into a lot of detail on it, so you can certainly take a look there before the event, or just watch it as it happens as well, because it's about to happen here pretty soon. All right, continuing on with trending news. Spotify and podcasts are something that Spotify has been working on podcasts for quite a long time, really trying to integrate that into their platform and buying up a lot of different podcast production companies, and now they're going to be trying something else out. So if you are a podcast listener on Spotify, there's going to be some new interactive ads that are being tested right now, and this could be interesting whether you produce podcasts or listen to them. It's going to be tested out really with only two shows right now. One is The Last Podcast on the Left, and another one is a German show. But with Last Podcast on the Left, now you will have ads actually posted there on the spot, on the site for that podcast. So if you're taking a look right there, you'll see it showcases it, it highlights the episode sponsors, and this is in order to, I mean, let's be honest, we all listen to podcasts or make podcasts, and when you say, use this promo code at this link, everybody's got to remember that promo code. Well, this would make it easier in theory for both the advertiser and the listener to take advantage of whatever the promo code is just by clicking straight through. And that would be, again, hosted on that podcast's page on Spotify. So it's just testing it out right now, but something you'll notice there, it's expected this will start rolling out more. And then we'll have to see if that goes to third-party podcasts or just sticks to the ones that Spotify has of their own. But we'll see where it goes. But definitely an interesting development there. It's something you will be noticing, and that is trending today. And our final piece of trending news here, just to get you started off today, we've got this. Virgin Galactic has signed a deal with NASA. Virgin Galactic being one of the many commercial space companies who are trying to bring tourists to space, and this contract would do just that. It would be a contract to bring tourists to the International Space Station. And NASA has said they want to open up ISS to a lot more people. That includes companies, that includes businesses, that includes all kinds of different science experiments and scientists who could go up there as well, but tourists, and that's people who want to spend the money are certainly a part of that as well. Virgin Galactic, right now, they still haven't even sent anybody up to suborbital space, which is what their real goal is. So they could be contracting with other companies, with like something like SpaceX or Boeing, to make this happen and setting up kind of a tourist company really right there. But we'll see where they go with it. But it's certainly a contract that has been signed with them, with NASA, and showcases how more and more we're going to start seeing space tourism as a really growing industry. So again, Virgin Galactic signing a deal with NASA to bring tourists to space. You can read more about that at digitaltrends.com.
Hey, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's now time for the product of the day.
And here is your product of the day. Today, it is this. It is the Bose noise-canceling wireless Bluetooth headphones 700. These are the ones with Alexa voice control, and they come in Arctic White. So let's take a look here at what you get with these. If you've ever tried some noise-canceling headphones, you know how great that really is. And these ones in particular, Bose is usually very highly ranked on these. You can see, so you personalize your environment. With 11 different levels of noise canceling, so you can control distractions or let ambient sound in. So if you want to hear your background sound while you're walking around, say you are going back out in the city and you want to hear the noise around you, well, that's something you can do with that. You can have Alexa with the push of a button. It's optimized also for Google Assistant, so whatever one you want there. You got 20 hours of wireless battery life, which is pretty great in its own right. It's got time-based power information, and it's got all kinds of different features that you can use with this. So again, that's the Bose noise-canceling headphones, and the deal is right there. See, if you see that link below me or wherever you're watching this on, there's probably a clickable link too, but it's right there, the Bose 700 deal. Follow through on that and take advantage of it. It looks like right now they are $3,789, so you can go there and take a look at these Bose noise-canceling wireless headphones, and that is our product of the day. All right, let's continue on here with Digital Trends Live. We're going to take a quick break because we need to get our next guest on, and we've got some great guests today. We've got Ronaldo Webb. You may have seen him on Shark Tank, and he's got a company called Pet Plate, and we're going to talk about what that is and how he's bringing good food to your pets. All of that and more coming up here on Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button, join the show, and you get to take part in the conversations that we get to have because we talk to some really interesting people, and that's going to be part of what's coming up right now. Joining us, we have the founder of Pet Plate, Ronaldo Webb. Ronaldo, first off, thank you very much for being here with us on the show today.
No, of course. Thank you for having me, Greg.
Your product is so interesting, and I have a bunch of questions I want to ask you about this. But to give everybody a little bit of context, can you talk about the origin of Pet Plate and what made you want to create a pet food company?
Yeah, so, I was a consultant prior to starting Pet Plate and spent a lot of time in pet food factories by happenstance. And, I saw all the ingredients going into the food and just realized we could do a much better job versus, what we were traditionally feeding our pets. when you look at, a bag of kibble or a, can of traditional dog food, you'll see a lot of ingredients on there that you wouldn't really feel too comfortable feeding to like other members of your family. So I question, why do you want to feed that to our pets? I started working with vet nutritionists to design meals for my own dogs, and Pet Plate really grew out of that. I saw a lot of traction and excitement from my friend group, and that gave me the confidence to quit my job and to launch Pet Plate as a business.
I mean, and that's a bold move, quitting a job. I know for a lot of people who are entrepreneurs, that's always one of those scary steps of like,
Exactly.
okay, this is it, relying on myself. And you've made this work. And now, I want to ask too about the Shark Tank appearance and just what that was like for you and how that experience went down for you.
Yeah, and I think I've had like a kind of a unique experience on Shark Tank. So I've been on the show twice actually. Once when we went on and originally did the pitch, that was back in. I actually did the pitch in June 2016, and it aired in December 2016. Fortune didn't get a deal, and they came back later and wanted to do an update on the company, just given all the success we had post being on the show. But it was a really fun experience. We started kind of. We're a local New York-based company at that time, and when we went on, we were kind of too small for the Sharks. They had a lot of interesting feedback about how we could scale the business, etc. But it was obviously sad. When we didn't go through and get a deal. Luckily, we found a ton of investors, and there's a lot of excitement in the space kind of following that. So the platform was great, just to let everyone know that, hey, human-grade dog food is an option. We grew pretty rapidly. And then after that, they reached back out to do the update, and that was January of 2019 that aired. And it's been, really exciting to kind of see that, replay every couple of months and have people reach out and just wish us good luck on our mission of, feeding dogs healthier, more nutritious food.
And I want to talk more about the food as well, but just for everybody out there, because I know for entrepreneurs, that's one of the dreams, right? Is to get there on that show, or at least, and get that funding. And I would imagine it's pretty nerve-wracking walking in there. I don't know, but for anybody out there who does get an appearance on Shark Tank, do you have any recommendations for first-timers for going on there if they make it all the way to getting on the show?
No, of course. I think it's very much like knowing your pitch and your product cold. Because when they say it's reality TV, you're walking out there, you have like I think 10 seconds to kind of get ready, and then the lights are on you, the sharks come out, and then they start asking you all kinds of questions. So I think just knowing your pitch cold is very, very important. And then also, try to be personable, right? It's a TV show. I think people kind of want to get to know the entrepreneur a little bit. So it's important to, talk about your story, talk about, the challenges or the obstacles you've overcome. People want to kind of get invested. I believe I was watching maybe a podcast with, someone who was on the show previously, and they said that, hey, listen, our goal was to make sure that, whether we had a deal or not, like the people watching it loved us. And that was kind of the attitude I had. I just wanted people to, love Pet Plate, love the mission, and to kind of care about my journey as an entrepreneur. And I think we're able to do that. We've, seen really positive results coming from the show.
I mean, it definitely worked for you. I mean, because obviously Pet Plate, like you said, just took off. And talking about this, I want to let people know out there, like, how you created your platform and how people order Pet Plate, how they engage with it that way.
Yeah, so, we're a digitally native brand. So right now you're only going to find Pet Plate on our website. You just go to www.petplate.com. And there you fill out a little bit of information about your dog. I think you had a couple of really exciting graphics about our our onboarding process previously. So you just let us know your dog's breed, their age, activity level, body condition, a couple of other factors, and then you get a personalized meal plan where you can customize the different flavors going into the box. You can add in a line of 100% organic treats that we just launched, our organic chicken apple sausage bites. So you can really kind of customize, like a meal plan, just like you would maybe like a HelloFresh, etc., exactly for your dog. And everything is, formulated and designed by veterinary nutritionists. We make all of our meals in a USDA kitchen, and everything is pre-portioned so that you only have to worry about feeding your dog half a container of Pet Plate in the morning versus half a container of Pet Plate at night. So we really try to take out all of the, the complications of feeding your dogs fresh human grade food, through our onboarding process.
When chicken apple sausage bites, by the way, sound delicious. But I realize it's not food, but when you said it, it sounded good.
Hey, it's all human grade. It's all human grade. So we're only using ingredients you would probably feel comfortable eating or find at a grocery store. So it's a little bit of, we're trying to give dog food a good name,
That's awesome. And I think, everybody cares about their pets and going from that and feeding them good things. Looking at it, from where you're at right now and just all the growth that you've had, what's going to be coming up for the company? You mentioned the organic treats, but what else as far as a platform are you looking forward to?
Yeah, great question. So I think first and foremost, we want to expand the number of dishes that we have available to our customers. We find that, despite having beef, chicken, turkey, lamb, customers are asking for some exotic dishes. So think, bison or venison. People are asking for pork and fish. So we're going to work with our veterinary nutritionist to design new meals that will be exciting for pet parents and their pets. We want to extend the line of treats that we have. So right now we just have, one flavor of treats, the organic chicken apple sausage. We'll add a couple more, and then maybe add on some, other, treats and products that, dog lovers need, whether they're dental sticks or supplements, etc. So we really want to be like a, just like a one-stop shop for pet parents. And I think once we do all of that for dogs, we're going to have to replicate all of that for cats. So it's a lot of work here at Pet Plate. And, obviously we are also working very closely with our veterinary nutritionist. So, on that end, we're hoping to launch studies pretty soon that, prove the efficacy of human grade food. So people can have a little bit of science and data to back up, why they should be thinking about feeding their dog something fresh.
Well, it's pretty incredible what you've been able to build. That does make sense going into cats. That was going to be one of my questions because I'm sure there's a lot of cat people out there saying, I'm sure you get that a lot.
Yeah, they get a little angry that we've forgotten them. We haven't, we promise. We're working as quickly as we can.
Well, Ronaldo, I want to say thank you very much for joining us today just to talk about your experience and, the growth of your company. It's really pretty incredible what you've been able to do, and going from that step of quitting your job to now, expanding this empire that you're creating with Pet Plate. Really amazing. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And, thank you again for having me on.
Thank you. All right, Ronaldo Webb right there on Digital Trends Live. Pet Plate, petplate.com. Go check out all of the things that he is doing right there. Pretty cool. Continuing on here with Digital Trends Live, we've got more coming up, though. We've got Davin Matthews next to talk about the Fujifilm X-T200. Fujifilm X-T200. There it is. Got it out. That's the camera he's going to be talking about. That's coming up next. Stick around back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. And hello, everyone. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Hit the subscribe button, share the show, whatever platform you're watching on. We do appreciate it. But let's continue on here and talk about some new products that you can get your hands on. And we've got Davin Matthews joining us to talk about the Fujifilm X-T200. I swear, every time you have these camera names, there's so many X's and T's that are involved. But this one, the Fujifilm X-T200. Hello, Davin. Tell us about this camera.
Hey, Greg. Yeah, so this is it here. This is Fujifilm's sort of their newest kind of entry level, maybe closer to mid-range mirrorless camera. So it is an interchangeable lens camera. It's part of their XT line, which is kind of their higher end line. But this is a way that you can get access to that style and some of those features for a lower price. And it's a nice camera. It's an update to their XT100 that I didn't hate, but didn't super love before. This one's definitely a lot better. Autofocus is much faster. And it has some great features that I think just kind of the casual photographer would really enjoy.
Yeah, and you mentioned casual and just kind of is this more of like an entry level camera, or who is this really designed for?
Yeah, so this is designed for either beginner photographers who are interested in photography but aren't yet ready for a super complex camera, and then also just for people who want to take it on vacation, go traveling with it, or just like this guy here, just be a dad. So we did just have Father's Day, so it makes sense. Good job, Fuji.
Smart marketing. So somebody who can, just kind of get into it from the beginning. What's different about the XT200 compared to maybe some of the other similar models in this range?
Yeah, so the other cameras in the XT line are the XT30, the XT3, as well as the new XT4. And the big thing is the XT30, XT3, those cameras are, they're going to focus a little bit faster. They're going to shoot a little bit faster. So this can shoot at 8 frames per second. Those can shoot up to like 11 or even I think 14 or 15 in the case of the XT4. And then those single digit ones, the 3 and the 4, those are also both weather sealed. They're pretty rugged. They're designed to be used outdoors in different conditions. But when it comes to just your base image quality, there is not a huge difference between a camera like this, which starts at $600 or $700 with a lens, and a camera like the XT3, which starts over $1,000.
So, okay, you mentioned the price there. Just to go through that again, I know you said it's $600 or $700.
Yeah, so $600 if you buy just the camera body. If you do want it with this kit lens, which is just a basic zoom lens, then it's $700.
Gotcha. Okay. Looking at this one, and what you're getting with that compared to maybe some other companies, some competitors, how does it compare in that range?
Yeah, so this is pretty much directly targeting cameras like the Sony a6100, which is a very popular model for beginners up to enthusiast level photographers. And I think some of the key differences are the design of the camera. So the Fuji, has this very retro looking, almost analog film era design to it. It has that larger center mounted viewfinder. And it has a nice high resolution screen. So it's a 16:9 screen with about 2.8 million pixels. And that kind of sets it apart from the Sony. But one thing Sony does very well is their autofocus. They're definitely the best in class. So if you do shoot a lot of action, if you want to sort of pretend to be a professional sports photographer at your kid's Little League game, or you just have a really fast dog you want to be able to capture at the beach, that might be a better camera for that. But otherwise, these are pretty comparable cameras.
And $700 with the lens, $600 without. What are some other things, like if somebody is wanting to get into photography, like we've been talking about, somebody who's at the beginning, not ready to go for the very high end, what other like accessories or things would you recommend somebody pick up?
Yeah, I think that's a key thing to talk about if you're looking at your first mirrorless camera, because the whole point of buying a camera like this is that it's not just that you get better image quality over your phone, but it's also that you get more functionality, you get more versatility because of those interchangeable lenses. And I think that's one thing that Fuji has done really well is their entire lens system. So I do absolutely recommend looking into and investing in additional lenses. Fuji does make a 35 millimeter f2 lens that starts, I think, just at $300, which is a great portrait lens for this camera. And it's kind of made it actually takes the same optics from their higher end 35 millimeter and repackages them in a plastic body to make it more affordable to people buying this level of camera. So I think that's a great first other lens to look into, especially as a lot of people are going to buy a camera like this to take pictures of their kids or the family. And so you want a good portrait lens for that. I think that's a great thing to look into.
Well, this one, and do we have the review up right now for at Digital Trends?
Yeah, so the review is up, yeah.
So everybody can go there and read some more about it and do some comparisons as well, because Davin's got lots of great stuff up at Digital Trends. If you're looking to get into this, or you're already experienced and you're looking to expand on your knowledge, Davin's got you covered on all of that. Any final thing you want to mention about this one in particular?
I'll be sad to send it back. I am actually a Fuji shooter myself. I have the XT2, but I've really enjoyed shooting this guy. I like how small and compact it is. I can take it with me anywhere. So yeah, I have to send it back today though.
Well, I'm sorry. Davin, thank you so much for joining us, as always, giving us the knowledge about cameras. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg.
Davin Matthews right here always has great information, and seriously go there, digitaltrends.com/photography. Take a look at all the different reviews, and in particular that one if you want to learn more about the XT200. All right, continuing on here with Digital Trends Live, we've got coming up next Hank Adams, who is the founder and CEO of Rise Gardens, and we're going to talk about that, the growth of home food and how people are growing more food, especially during a pandemic, and how important that is. So that's coming up next. Stick around, back in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. Welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler, and again, thank you for joining us. We appreciate everybody who is a part of this show, wherever you are. Thanks for tuning in. And we talk about a lot of different things here on the show, but certainly during this pandemic, people have found a renewed interest in cooking at home and eating at home and sourcing your food from different places, and that includes growing your food at home. We're talking about that in part right now. Joining us, we have Hank Adams, the founder and CEO of Rise Gardens. Hank, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Reading about your history, you have kind of this storied history in sports technology, which seems far, far away from what this company is. Can you tell us just a little bit about how you went from sports technology into hydroponic growing of food?
Sure. Well, the truth is I was interested in, I'd been in sports for 25, almost 30 years doing various sports tech things. And while I loved it, I thought after I sold my last business, Sport Vision, that it was time to try something different. And I wanted to get involved in something where I thought it would make a difference in the world, honestly. And our food system has a lot of challenges. And so I wanted to take some of my entrepreneurial and tech background and apply it to the food business.
And I'm assuming that's what we're taking a look at there behind you as well.
That's correct. This is where I landed, and we launched an indoor gardening company called Rise Gardens, and it lets you grow your food at home.
Which is really incredible. Can you walk us through some of the tech, I guess, behind it, especially for people who are right now becoming more interested in gardening or learning about hydroponic gardening? What makes that so different, and what's maybe some of the tech behind it that makes it work so well?
Sure. Well, you touched on, I think, the principal issue, which is that it is hydroponic, which translates to no soil, basically. It's a soilless system. And you can see in these levels here, and so there's some plumbing behind me, there's water in a reservoir, it gets pumped up, and it runs through each level, drops back down, and then you add nutrients to it. And we hold the plants in a little cup like this. You put your little, it's like a peat plug in it, and the plant seed goes in there, and the water and nutrients hit the roots, and the roots grow, and the plant takes off. It's a very, very efficient way to grow because the plants get as much light as they need. We have special lights that we've designed. And they get a lot of dissolved oxygen, which roots really like, and you get the perfect amount of nutrients, which we help you manage through an app. And so it's a very, very good way of growing. In terms of the technologies, like I said, we designed our own lights. And so we've dialed in the spectrum so that it's still a pleasing white light. This is designed to be, set up in somebody's home. So you don't want the purple lights that you often associate with grow lights. So we designed the lights that are great for the plants, but still, are something that you can use. We have a bunch of sensors built into this system. So we automatically detect your water depth. We give you sensors to determine the pH levels of the water and the nutrient levels of the water. And we associate it with an app. It's an IoT-based system. So it's connected to your Wi-Fi. You enter into the app what some of that data was. We collect some of the data off the system itself. And then we tell you exactly how to manage your system, how much nutrients to add, when you need to add water, whether you need to manage your pH, basically everything you need to know.
I mean, that's pretty incredible, actually, and I'm sure greatly beneficial for people who are maybe wouldn't know how to manage a plant. I'm talking about myself because I kill every plant that I try to grow. So this would be of great help for me. But looking at it, from a food supply issue, and you mentioned that, you touched on that, about what a concern that is, and that's certainly a concern that we've seen and covered here for quite a while. How do you think that this can help mitigate some of those concerns going forward?
Sure. Well, this is a modular system. So, I'm showing a 3-level setup here. This is actually in my home. It can be set up as a 1-level system, or you can add the 2nd or 3rd level at any time you want, basically. But, it can be very, very efficient at growing plants, depending on what you want to grow and the time frame you have. So some of the most productive foods to grow are greens. Arugula can grow in 14 days to maturity. Other greens will take maybe 25 days. Swiss chard, which I have down here, a big plant of that. It can take up to a month to get to where it's starting to be harvestable, but it's a cut and come again. You can keep cutting it, and it will keep growing and keep growing. There's some basils which are relatively young in my system, but once they get established, you'll be cutting every 2 days. You won't be able to keep up with it. It's very productive. So just to give you an example, we have our standard setup has got about 12 slots per layer, but you can go up as high as 36 slots if you want to. And if you want to grow heads of lettuce and only lettuce, you could get anywhere from 12 to not 36 full heads, but certainly 24 heads of lettuce in a month. And that's for every level. So that's a fair amount of food for people. It's not going to replace your need to go to the grocery store. And we don't claim that it's going to, feed an entire family, but it will certainly give you an awful lot of vegetables. And it grows a lot of different types of vegetables.
Looking at this from, you mentioned the modular standpoint of it, going forward, how do you see this company expanding? Do you see going into any kind of a commercial operation, or will this stay for homes in particular?
Well, I think on the modularity, I should mention it's not just modular in height, but in terms of how you can grow and what you can grow with. So each one of these tray lids, lifts up and you can swap it out. And that allows us to let you grow microgreens, rooted vegetables, taller plants like tomatoes and Swiss chard like I have. So it does have a huge variety of things. And that's something that we're expanding on. I have an experimental trellis that I put in back here. I've got cucumber plants coming up. So some of what's coming is the modularity that's going to let you just really expand what you grow. I don't know if we'll get into the commercial indoor large scale farming. We're actually probably going to go the other direction. A lot of people don't have either the room or the time to tend to a big system like this. And so we're actually going to be coming out with a countertop version later this year. And all of those components will be interchangeable with the larger system if you decide you want to upgrade later.
Wow, I love that idea of being able to expand and start small, get bigger. Looking at this for consumers out there, for people out there who want to, start trying this out if they haven't done it yet, what does it take to get started, and how much is it to get a starter unit?
Sure. So a base level system, which comes with an awful lot of equipment, I'd say, it's got the cabinet with the water reservoir and the pumps in it, and we send you with all the nutrients that you need and the sensors for pH and water management, all that sort of stuff, and the lights. That's $550 to get started, and then each layer is $200, above and beyond that. So this would be a $950 setup to get you started, and we give you, enough to get going for a month. We also have nurseries that will double your production if you really want to dial it in that way. You can start the systems in your nurseries and move it over to your main system. And so that's sort of to get you started and to give you a sense of how that translates into cost savings. We estimate it would be about 18 months, depending on what you decided to grow, but it'd be about 18 months for you to make up the cost of what you'd be spending in a grocery store. We also have a system that you can subscribe or do it a la carte, where we'll send you boxes of seeds and the nutrients, and they come like this, and you can just pop them in your system, and that'll cost you, depending on how many levels you have, again, maybe $20 a level per month, and that will keep you continuously productive. But I would add, you're also getting the freshest herbs and vegetables and clean. There's obviously no pesticides or herbicides involved here. So, but your lettuce that you're buying at the fanciest of grocery stores has lost the vast majority of its vitamins. So, this is something where you get a full nutrient load, and it's cheaper than you're going to be paying there as well.
Well, it's definitely an interesting system you've created here, and taking your knowledge from the sports industry on how to grow a business, you've definitely applied it here as well. But it's great. So modular food, growing it at home, the modular system that you've got right there. And Hank, I want to say thank you very much for joining us. And again, to direct everybody where to go, it's risegardens.com.
That's correct. Yes.
So go there, take a look at that. And Hank, thank you so much for being here on Digital Trends Live.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been fun.
Yeah, definitely interesting what he has created right there. So modular gardening and growing your own food at home, something that we see as a big trend, and we've got a lot of articles about that too at digitaltrends.com, just about food supply issues, and certainly this would be one way to mitigate some of those concerns. So check that out there. We've got more coming up here on the show, though. To continue on, coming up next, we've got our own Drew Prindle for another edition of Awesome Tech You Can't Buy Yet, where he scours the internet looking at different crowdfunding campaigns. We'll talk about that next. Stick around back here in a minute with more Digital Trends Live. This is Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for joining us. And it is Monday, and it's time for another edition of Awesome Tech You Can't Buy Yet, where our own Drew Prindle scours the internet to find some of the best and most interesting crowdfunding campaigns out there. That's what we're talking about right now. Drew, hello. Thanks for being here once again. Which one of these do you want to start off with here first?
Let's start off with this AI bird feeder because it's such a crazy idea, and I love it. It's totally one of these 2020 inventions. I feel like this could only exist now. So basically what it is, it's called Birdsy, and it is a video-based bird watching solution. So basically what it is, there's a feeder, a bird feeder, then there's a camera that is connected to the internet, much like a security camera, except instead of spotting intruders, what it does is it spots birds that arrive to eat whatever bird feed you've put out. And not only does it spot them and record them, it actually has AI built into it that can identify the species of birds. So you don't even have to be like a bird expert to know what kind of bird has arrived at your feeder. And it's all, it's got an app and it's connected. So like you don't have to be actively watching the feed. It'll give you an alert and it'll say, hey, like a house finch or a warbler or whatever bird you're after is there eating, and it'll give you an alert and you can tune in live.
I just want it to be like a really loud siren, like "There's a house finch outside now! Get out here!" We actually talked about this thing on TBD too. My question is though, how is this different than? I mean, I guess it'll identify it, but is this something that you would use?
I mean, for $200, that's a little steep. I'm not that deep into bird watching myself, but I can totally see how this might be the perfect thing for some people, particularly my mom. She is a crazy bird watcher and spends a lot of time at home just sitting out there and actively watching her feeders to see who stops by. And yeah, she would love something like this where she could continuously bird watch throughout the day and then just, look at her phone whenever something interesting happens.
I think the longer this pandemic goes on, the more bird people are going to be out there, and that could be me too.
100%.
By the end of the year, yeah, I'll have like 5 of these. Going from that one, from Birdsy AI, what is the next one that you want to talk about?
Let's talk about this thing, this M1 caliber. It's an interesting new measuring tool. So you've probably heard that old adage that like carpenters and other woodworkers say that's measure twice, cut once. It's just a good way of going about things, because if you mess up one cut, I don't know. Basically, what this tool does is it eliminates that. It says, screw that. We're not gonna measure twice, cut once. That takes way too much time. How about you measure while you're cutting, and you don't have to pull out a tape measure. You don't have to mark anything. It'll just tell you exactly where to stop the wood so that you can make the cut. So pretty much what it is, it's a little thing. It's a little device that you clamp onto your existing saw. Mostly it's designed for miter saws. So you clamp it onto it. It's got this little spring-loaded wheel, and then you put your board or whatever material that you're cutting under it and slide it. And as that wheel spins, it automatically like digitally measures how much material is moving through it. So all you have to do is just stop when it's at the number that you want, cut the thing, roll it through again, and then so you can continuously cut and make a bunch of all of the cuts on your cut list in one go without ever having to pull out a tape measure or mark anything.
That is actually pretty cool. This is one that...
It's a really clever idea, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, because that is true. I don't know how many times I've screwed up cuts by trying to get in a hurry with that. So that's something I would see being kickstarted. So this one, taking a look here right now, yeah, it was a $10,000 goal. It's at almost $300,000 as of right now, with 38 days left. And especially another thing for during this, while everybody's at home trying to work on projects, or a lot of people are, I bet this is going to clearly do really well. So that's the Recon M1. And what is the pledge here? Yeah, $109 or something. And then, but yeah, it ends up being $99 for the actual tool. I would kickstart this one. I think we just lost Drew, didn't we? Okay, yeah. We are live. Just in case anybody doesn't know.
Connection's buggy a little bit on my end. I think we're back, though.
We've got you back. We're back now. All right, well, let's go from there, from the M1 caliber to the final one on here. And I'm taking a look here. I just see the name Waydo Flyer 1. What is a Waydo Flyer 1?
So Waydo is a company that makes aquatic toys, basically. They make powered surfboards and lots of other stuff with motors on it that you can play around on the water with. They previously made an electric surfboard that had like a little impeller. It was basically like a jet ski surfboard. This is an evolution of that. The Waydo Flyer 1 is an electronic surfboard, but it's also in hydrofoil. So it's got basically a little underwater wing on the bottom of it. And once you get up to a certain speed, that wing creates enough lift in the water to actually lift the board up off of the surface of the water so that you're kind of flying on top of it. This also reduces the drag that you experience while you're going. So it actually takes less power to move the board forward, and you can go much faster than you could on a board where like you're actually just skimming on the surface. Yeah, so it looks like a ton of fun. I really, really, really want to get on top of one of these things. The only thing is it costs like over $4,000, so it's a little steep.
That does look awesome, though. I would totally try one of those. I would crash constantly, I would imagine, but I would definitely want to get on one of those things. You've tried the electric surfboard before, right?
I have, but only the surface skimming ones. I have not tried a hydrofoil board yet. However, I have tried a hydrofoil e-bike at CES, and that was tricky. And that was, I imagine the difference is probably like, because that had two hydrofoils, so it's probably like riding a bike, whereas this, I imagine, would be a little bit more like riding a unicycle. And I crashed the bike, so I'm sure I would crash this immediately and look like a complete idiot on video, which I'm really good at doing.
And there is video of you crashing on the hydrofoil bike. So
yes, there is.
You can find that on the site. Well, this one again, this is the Waydo Flyer 1. So it's an innovative e-foil is what they're calling it. Not dependent on wind or waves, you can ride anywhere, anytime. It's still pretty cool. I would definitely want to get on one. Not going to spend $4,000 on it, but I would love to know somebody who does own one.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it's just like a boat. I want to know the person who owns the boat. But this is the Waydo Flyer 1. And again, this is awesome tech. You can't buy yet. We've got all of these at digitaltrends.com where people can go there and take a look at everything that Drew has found. They're always interesting stuff. And Drew, as always, thank you so much.
Yeah, it's always fun being here, man.
The Drew Prindle, awesome tech you can't buy yet, here every Monday. And again, check out all of them at digitaltrends.com. And I want to thank everybody for joining us. We're going to wrap up this show because coming up, we've got the Apple event for WWDC, and you can go to digitaltrends.com, and we've got a whole article right there. You can watch the show while you take a look at what some of the different things that we expect to happen are, and we'll keep that constantly updated. So I'm sure a lot of news coming out here shortly. But thank you for joining us here on this show. Coming up tomorrow, we'll have Andy Boxall on to talk about some of that, talk about whatever comes out of this event. So he'll be walking through that with us. I believe we have Winnie Sun tomorrow as well. And as always, we'll keep you up to date with all the latest tech news. We'll have some great interviews. And hit subscribe to make sure you don't miss out on this show. And I'm Greg Niblin. I'll be right back here tomorrow with another edition of Digital Trends Live.